Yo, 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 this is the Wave Daddy Rob Lee, and I am shooting straight with you. Yeah, check out all the podcasts on this network. Listen to Truth in His Art. Obviously, you're listening to that now. Listen to Mastermind Team's Robcast. Check out our movie review podcast. Let's watch it again, and just get dipped in everything that is MTR podcast. You won't regret it. Welcome to Truth in His Art. I am your host, Rob Lee, and today's guest is the owner of Charm City Books, which is an independent family-owned bookstore and community gathering space located in historic Pigtown. Please welcome Daven Ralston.
Woo! Happy to be here.
That was all of the enthusiasm. I appreciate it. So I'm going to look like a hero because this is, I think, the second bookstore that I've had on this podcast. And my girlfriend's going to be very happy about it because she is a writer and she's like pretty much any book that she has in her home has been bought from a local bookstore. And the last couple of years has been by me. So now I'm just like looking like I'm a hero in that regard. Like, oh, you know, another bookstore? It's like, yes, I do. So speak on, I guess, just that background, the elevator pitch. Kind of tell us more about the store for those who are initiated, because I was initially, and then I did a little bit of a deep dive, but the history, location, and things like that.
Yeah, so we opened officially October 2019. So just 5 months before this lovely pandemic. And originally, so my siblings all live in Baltimore and went to school here. And I really wanted to be close to family. My husband and I are both artists, have an artist background. Actually, I mentioned Joe's out of town for a month, and that's because he's actually filming a movie. And so he and I both have like a shared love for like skill sharing and teaching and just, you know, gathering artistic, creative people together. And so the bookstore idea sort of came from that, knowing that there was this re-emergence of indie bookstores as these spaces that collaborate with other businesses in the community and also like invite writers and other artists and musicians. I worked for a little while at this bookstore in Old Town Alexandria, and pre-pandemic they were having these awesome like music nights and writers workshops and author talks, and it's just a really cool space for creative people. So that's sort of where our idea for creating a business came from. And and then, you know, it was sort of a matter of figuring out where in Baltimore there was a desire for a bookstore, because there are so many awesome stores here that are indie bookstores. And it was really serendipity because Pigtown, when I was looking around in Baltimore, a lot of people mentioned Pigtown. And when I came to the neighborhood, there were a number of like vacant storefronts, and I met with Kim Lane, who's actually the director of Pigtown Main Street. And something that I didn't know originally was that Pigtown Main Street is a member of Main Street America. So it's one of the historic main streets in Baltimore City, and is part of this larger national historic organization. And so I was like, well, I want to talk to her and see what she thinks, because she, I assume, knows what's going on in the community. And they had just done a poll of the neighborhood, come to find out, asking what people wanted in the neighborhood. And the third thing on the list, it was like grocery store, coffee shop, and then bookstore. So I was like, oh my God, it's serendipity. And it just sort of worked out that, you know, everything kind of fell into place. And honestly, like, it's the best community that I think any of us could have ever imagined to be in, because the business owners are so awesome. We have this great support system. And yeah, I mean, it's just been amazing. And yeah, that's pretty much the inception of it.
So there is obviously the independent component, I would imagine. A lot of like local, like writers, local books and such. What are you stocking? What types of books are you stocking, and what do you like specialize in?
We're like general interest bookstore, the best way to sort of describe it in like a nutshell version. We're stocking all of your classic tales, but then also all of the new, like contemporary writers, I guess is the term we'll use. People who have run the gamut in the terms of literature and whatnot. We have a social sciences section, which is well stocked and often kept up to date. That way, the most up to date and most knowledgeable content in terms of reform, which is something that the passion of all of our the full staff here. But then, we have really, it's not a play space, but it is like a kid's room that may as well be like a play palace or something, because it is, you'll be downstairs and the next thing you know, you just hear pitter patter all up and through the floor up there. But our kids space is really amazing. It's like a little mini bookstore within the store, if you ask me. Literally like something special that I think maybe that we have that not a lot of people have is that we do support specifically Baltimore local artists of all kinds. So yes, we have a section that we dedicate to independent writers, but we have local goods and like candles and self-care materials and things like that. Even like handmade bookmarks and masks that are all made by independent artists from right here in Baltimore as well. So, you definitely get that's definitely Baltimore is definitely our stock as well. I believe for sure. Like you really can come in here and find what's hot on TikTok right now, or, just whatever, just anything you got to do just because it's, one of those things that's always been on your to read list,
That's dope. I do have a question then. It's very self-serving, but if I were to transcribe me describing my life story as a podcaster and give you this pose, can I get my autobiography just in there? It's like, I'm a local creator. It's just, this is barely a book, sir.
Listen, you'd be surprised at what people are making and putting on, hey, listen, that, there's substance to you. So maybe we'll sell it, so maybe we'll get it on the shelves.
Look, I finally made it.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So between the two of you, right? And from your perspective, I suppose, what are the characteristics do you think a person needs to be successful in the industry, and what would be those keys to success, if you will?
I think the number one thing, at least that has been the key to our success, so I can't speak to everyone, but I will say, like, listening to our community of customers and readers has been, I think, our number one key to success. And that extends more than just the shopping aspect, right? Because we do try to do a lot of stuff with the community. We do a lot of book drives. We collaborate with other nonprofits in the area. And so we're always trying to make those connections with people, and also just listening to what people want to see more of. There's a definite balance, like, everybody is a critic, or, everybody's got some advice for you. Yeah. But, it's also like, I think that we do really lead with listening to our community, I think, is a big thing. I don't know if it is.
Because it really is, when you're filling a space that is empty, so for instance, one thing that the community wanted was a bookstore. Well, it's easy to just come in and put it in a bookstore, but like to actually be a part of that community and have books that the community would be interested in. And, it's just smart application. It's smart business ownership, in my opinion, rather than just, planting a general store of whatever kind that really has no taste of the community, not just Baltimore, but specifically, I think, the Pigtown area as well, because we also utilize the community whenever we have an opportunity to give back, or, again, I think just being in communication, whether it's actually over discussing a partnership or whatever, or just, chatting with the people who are regulars who come in the store, all of that is about building the community and true partnership, if you ask me. So that's definitely been like a big part of the success here so far.
Yeah, and I think that's it's great, because I think that's within the initial blurb that I read is community gathering space, and community is, it's the second thing right after bookstore, and so it's as important, I think. And I always use and it may not work as well, but I always use this kind of comparison when I go to a different city and I go to a coffee shop. It's like, I want to see something. I'm going to go to the local place before I go to the Starbucks. I may have the discount at the Starbucks, but if I don't taste chicory or something when I go to New Orleans, then it's like I'm not getting the right experience. So I think the same thing applies when you go to a community. So if you're going to Pigtown and this place, it's like, no, I don't know if that's really a Baltimore place. I don't know if that's really a Pigtown place. It just sticks out. It's like, this was planted here. It's not really a part of the community. And why should, in the same way, why should the community want to embrace it in that way? But I think you guys are doing the opposite, and that's great. It's great to really be involved in that way. Being a good neighbor, I guess.
Right. Yeah. It's good to be a good neighbor.
It's almost an insurance ad right there. Let's be cautious there, Brandon. Let's be cautious.
Right. I know. I was like, I said, oh wow, I'm not plugging State Farm. Okay.
That's all State Stan. And maybe this is duplicative, but if you would, in each of you, or you know what, I'm gonna make it hard. Between the two of you, describe the store in like 3 words. So you can use 1.5, see if you can finish the other person's half word, or however you want to do this. But,
yeah. You want to?
I'm trolling. This is great.
Oh, no. I mean, I think we agree. Like, even though it's already in the name of the store, like charming, I definitely feel like is a way to describe the store. And that's also a word that we've heard a lot from people who walk in, because it is in this very old building. It's a historic building. Before it was a bookstore, it was like a police substation. And then before that, it was a gallery. And before that, it was like a spirituality shop where someone did psychic readings. And then before that, it was someone's house. So yeah.
Wow. It's a lot of energies there.
A lot of lives, a lot of iterations. And yeah, it's a very old little row house. And, it has all these little nooks and crannies. And, we've done a lot to really make the space feel warm and inviting. That's definitely our vibe. And it does feel like you kind of walk into somebody's house and, with all the clutter that can be in somebody's house too sometimes. But that's definitely, that would be our first word, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I would throw in there, joyful, probably. Because I'm a vibes kind of guy. Like I say, the vibes are right, the vibe, whatever. I say things like that. But no, it's. I mean, honestly, it always has been to me. Like, as I know I have personal relationships with most of the team, and essentially the whole team, close enough. Prior to joining the team back in February, but I think that was part of why I wanted to join, because I knew that group of people had good energy, and that naturally is just going to seep into anything you do. And so, when you come through the door, between, the people who work here, and then the curating and procurement of the shop itself, the dogs, everything, even like, the people who come in and out, just the people who come in with that good energy of, hey, I'm stopping by the shop today. It's all, I love hearing the shop, as from somebody else. Like, we call it the shop, obviously, but like when somebody else calls it the shop, it's like, oh, hey. So there's a lot of joy around here, I would say, as well. The number 3.
This is the tough one right here.
Yeah, and
not to beat this point too much.
Yeah, right.
But I think it's community would be like the third one. But you're just reminding me, like, along the vein of like community. I mean, we say it a lot, but like, we pride ourselves, like, it's great. People who come in, it's like kind of let me say, Joe and I have never really been motivated by money, which is kind of, in a way a shame because we've been struggling artists for our entire careers. But like the thing that does motivate us is like being of service and like, and being really enmeshed in the life of a community or a neighborhood, or like really feeling that you're connected. And so like just, having people come in, we know their names, we ask how their, kid is or how their grandma was who came by, it's like, it's just so it's what I think a lot of people always imagine, what they would love to have. And it's just nice to feel that in the space, just knowing people's names. And
yeah, for sure. No, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
We need like
a jingle or like a gesture, like something.
Where everybody's name.
We're just getting commercial material here. This is great.
On the spot, someone sign us. Come on.
But I think that is important when you have whatever the local shop is, and whatever the item is. It doesn't matter as much as the people, the vibe, if you will, the community component that's there. So I always go back to like when I go into, let's say, a bookstore, what have you, or go to a coffee shop, or go into anything that's kind of like right there that's a regular haunt. And if they know my thing, it's like, oh, you want an iced coffee with cinnamon and simple syrup, little panela. It's like, you get it. You get it.
Right.
It's like an ice cube. It's like ice cube. It's great. And as for the Rob Lee, when you go to Sophomore Coffee,
hey,
a little shameless plug there. Or if I go to a bookstore, what have you, it's like, oh, we got this latest thing in that you asked about last time. It's like, oh, you remember me. Oh, wow. This is now more than me just going there to get this book in this one instance. Now this turns into a gift shop. Now this turns into a place where I'm going to get these other items that are within the community, because buying local, supporting your local everything is very important, especially now. But it's very important, especially now with how things have gone over the last year and a half. Yeah. So speaking on that, this felt like a natural segue point. So being open for like less than 6 months before this hellscape, as I like to call the pandemic, happened. How has the business like shifted? I noticed that for some places they said, oh, we invested more on the online infrastructure and more on like having videos or hosting events with different authors and things like that. What's happened there at Charm City Books in terms of going from starting to pivoting? Because that's been the word of 2020 to 2021. How's that been?
Well, you want to start off with like the beginning, since like, I mean, y'all started literal months before the pandemic. So it's like, it was, we were just sort of getting our feet under us, and we were, we had been doing previous to the pandemic, like 20 to 25 in-store events a month. And so it was a really big bummer when we had to close in March, because we were starting to get some momentum with a lot of things we were doing. And, the biggest things initially that we did, was just working on our online store and coming up with digital content to still captivate and reach out to our customer base. We also, one thing that I would be remiss if I didn't mention, is that we got a little delivery scooter, because a really big thing with our customers is, we had to be closed, and we decided we wanted to try to just deliver to people. And so we got a scooter, and I think that was something that people really appreciated. We still do it now because still people are nervous about coming into the shop. And but that was just one of the ways we were like, okay, let's try to find a way to still be able to reach our customers who are stuck at home. And it's just kind of continued on. But then we also did a lot of digital stuff, which Brandon can speak to, because that's continued. Yeah, it's I think that's the, in my profession as a theater artist, that's more so on the behind the scenes versus on the stage. I really found myself in the middle of this pandemic at a halt, like at the beginning of it, because I was like, oh man, dynamicize the way I think. I have to, truly think dimensionally, multidimensionally. And I think I was starting to figure that out in my own personal career, but then coming here helped me figure that out a lot more, because in the midst of all of this, and in time, we've really truly developed some digital content, which such as like the Between Two Seconds that we have. That's been like, they were running that before I got here, but we've been able to like scale it and enhance it a bit as I took over whatever. I didn't say that.
I'll say it.
I did. I was
like, okay, I get all these people on this show.
Meanwhile, I still get nerves and sweats before I go on and talk to these people sometimes. It's like, really, truly. And like, even like, with the newest edition of our latest team member, Jordan, who is a TikToker in her own right, really managing and handling the TikTok here. And now, like, shortly thereafter, now people are like, oh yeah, we saw you on TikTok. Oh yeah, we saw you on TikTok. We're here to get this book from TikTok. It's like, the heck? Like, it's just, just that, I think it really speaks to how the world is kind of realizing that the digital world is not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. Like, digital content is, and, I think we all have maybe one or two other ideas that we're sitting on, but we're trying to just make sure we keep our footing solid right now, because we have been blessed with more opportunities to start doing some more of our in-person events, such as signings and pop-ups at other events and conferences to sell specific books for people. And, so on a bookseller standpoint, the dynamics, it's not, we have a brick and mortar, yeah, but like, we sell books in so many ways at this point, and through so many different venues and avenues and whatnot, that I think that has been one of the very few blessings of the pandemic, really having a reason to sort of enhance all of these other spaces other than just the one that we habitate on Washington Boulevard. And that's definitely been my favorite thing, just really, truly doing so many different things with a style. It's not just clocking in, clocking out at a bookstore, which sounds, the nerd in me loves that. But like, it's like, it's so, you have to use so many different outlets and think outside the box in order to really be successful and sustainable as we have over the past almost officially 2 years. Yeah. So, woo!
Fantastic. So now, since that was, while I was listening and while I was typing, I have another question that you don't have.
Dun, dun.
But it's a simple one. How, since I'm getting this notion that almost everyone there that's on the team is a creator outside of the bookstore, is a creative, is an artist of some sort. So what was the thinking in that? Like, just bringing all these creative folks together, and actually, if you will, speak on what you do creatively outside of the store. Like, you're within the theater scene, Brandon, and Daven, you do everything. I see that you're an actor, musician, so speak on that. Like, how is maybe some of the skills that you learn from your specific artistic disciplines and how that comes into play within the store, in the shop?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start by just saying, I think it's been so thinking about, I'm trying to think how I want to phrase it. Theater artists are like the jacks of all trades, right? Because if you've been in the theater, you have done production, you've probably done sound and lighting, you've been a stage manager, you've directed, you've helped assistant direct, you're like trying to, like you're printing
call sheets,
pay bills at late at night at your
tickets,
office.
You're an usher. You're a volunteer. You're holding the boom for some reason, but this is theatrical production. Why is there a boom mic here? It's like,
don't worry about it. It's fine.
Yes.
Do it all.
And so truly. And then, in the theater, there's a lot of devising, especially I think in the DC, Maryland area, a lot of devising in different smaller companies. And so I think, you know, knowing that those are experiences that like Joe and I had that made us very adaptable and able to do a lot of things and think creatively and outside of the box as far as like how to engage people. Because honestly, as a theater artist, they, you know, there is maybe unfairly an expectation that you are also, as an actor, you have to figure out how to engage people to come to your show. So like there is that element of like, okay, how can we get more people to be involved? And so just knowing that like Tina and Brandon had that background, it's like you just know that you're going to have someone who's going to be able to collaborate really well, create and come with ideas. And like, you know, that's, I think, the best part about our team is that we all have ideas and we all work together and nobody has an ego about, you know, this isn't working, let's try this.
Yeah, no, it's been like, again, like for me, I think I just constantly have, because my background is in like artistic administration and producing, as well as directing and writing. So yeah, I act, but I don't particularly put acting at the forefront because it's like my mind has just been so different. And I think that's what's been my strong suit around here, just because I'm a solutionist as well as an idea generator. So it's like, if I try to fix a problem, and often my tool for fixing that problem is something creative or something artistic, artsy, whatever you want to call it. It's, and I think that, you know, one of the biggest blessings for me has been in a space. And I think this is what helps with the vibe here, is because the energy is just not just good, but it's also familiar. Mm-hmm. And I think that being able to put the input from my background, even if it doesn't stick to the wall, at least there's nothing wrong with me taking the shot there. And there's just space and, you know, almost expectancy that's, you know, the track that I take, and because we're all just kind of in that mindset naturally as it is. And so it's been cool, you know, again, using that in a creative space, which is, you know, it is like, you know, I write now because I used to read all the time. And, you know, it's just kind of a way that I can give back now, hopefully passing on a book to someone else who, like, I honestly, like, it's nothing that makes me happier than seeing specifically young Black boys come into the bookstore, because it was something. I was always in the library, but I was often the only one that looked like me in the library. And so it's cool to see that in the bookstore. And so I'm always like, oh yeah, we got the new Miles Morales Spider-Man, or, you know, we got the you know, CJ last, you know, whatever, we got whatever, you know, because representation is always, it's a hot topic right now, but it's always been important, if you ask me. So it's, you know, things like that. And being able to figure out how to encompass all of that background into all of this. And I don't know, it's been such a cool process. And I think it is because of the creative process that we all have, that I've been able to bring that part of me and actually use it effectively in the workspace. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I think all of that shows from all of the work that we do here, based off of our backgrounds, specifically as artists. That being said, no, it's not it's not a requirement.
Oh,
it's not a requirement. Yeah.
It's not like you were selling a ticket there. I was like, Lord, that sounds really fun over there. You know, I'm a jack of all trades.
It is a vibe.
I'm a data analyst. It's fine. So last two questions that I have, both are bookie ready related. Those are not words, but so I think some people are ritualistic, and we try to fit it in when you're trying to read, you're trying to get a new book, you're trying to figure out how to get into a rhythm. I know for me, I have to really get myself to a point, like, all right, get up, read 5 pages, read 10 pages, whatever that looks like. And then you're in it. And it's almost like watching a show sometimes for me. It's like, it might be a little slow initially, and then I'm hooked. What are your specific reading preferences? Can you just breeze through a book? And I know it's books are vary, but can you just breeze through one? What is that reading preference? I've heard someone say they like to eat French fries and drink a beer while reading a book. Oh, that's the most. That's what my girlfriend does. And she gets it. She gets it. She understands it. She's reading Dune right now, so there's a lot of French fries and a lot of beers sitting around. So, if you will, what is that reading preference for you?
Brandon over here reading like 12 books a month. So
I've slowed down for sure. I definitely. So for me, this coming here was a shift in occupation. This is why I believe in manifestation, because somewhere towards the beginning of this year, I said I wanted to get back or do more into like the literary space. Like I wanted to read more, I wanted to write more, just wanted to be in the presence of literature more. Lo and behold, I decide for whatever reason to leave the restaurant industry altogether. Like just for lots and lots of personal reasons, I decided to just be like, okay, thank you for the last 8.5 years. I'm good. The doors at Charm City Books were wide open, and I was able to walk in, and that was really like the first step into like really making that goal a reality. And so really, I like during the pandemic, naturally not many people have many things to do. So I go through the bookshelf that I have already and started reading things that had been sitting there that I had never read, like The Girl on the Train or Fight Club or, like even like Amy Poehler's comedy memoir, whatever, like just things that were always on the shelf that I was like, one day. And then I just started reading through that. And then I started working at a bookstore, and then I started reading more and just more and more and more. And then I started actually getting busy at my job. And so I have slowed down. Like at my monthly wrap up this month, I think is 5 books, maybe. And now it's like, well, mine's like 2, but like,
5.
No, but like when I first started here, like, man, I really was crushing like 10 to 12 books a month. I really was, because I just couldn't stop. I just felt like I was catching up. Yeah. And all that stuff. So to answer your question specifically, I think I just go for it and then let whatever happens. Like I'm also a commuter, so I have a lot of time I have some downtime to work or read. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't admit that sometimes I read, but like overwork. But I am still working because I work at a bookstore. Exactly. So there you go. But,
it's research.
Yeah, it's field research. Yeah, exactly. So I really just take whatever time I can get. I did the whole I'm gonna get up early and read for 30 minutes, but then I realized I like to sleep more. And it's like and I have little things like, it's so funny. I'm supposed to participate in this conference at the end of next month. And we're all just kind of talking. Me and the other panelists are kind of talking during a meeting, getting to know each other. And I do a lot of things that you shouldn't do. Like I take notes in my book if I'm reading a nonfiction, which is like my favorite genre essentially, or dog earing books or whatever. I'm like, oh, so there's like I'm being judged right now because I'm not, and so I don't know. It's like I never really set out like a way or a path. I just pick up the book whenever it passes me by and go for it. And I hope I want to stick with it, ultimately. So my process is just to go for it. Really.
That's how I am with food.
Yes.
Me too.
Same.
Yes.
All right. So we have the last question. If you're ready for the last question. Yeah. This is kind of suggestion oriented. And maybe this is a Brandon question again, but what is a little known book that you would like to see like make it big? Extra points if you can go local. I don't know if you guys were aware it was a point-based system this podcast is based on. No.
Right.
Just put it in the last second. You're in sudden death, overtime, or what have you.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Exactly. No. Well, I would say. So largely, the thing is like little known is what's tripping me up, because the thing is everybody knows James Baldwin and Toni Morrison, but not everybody has read their stuff. Like everybody knows them by name, So like Toni Morrison is possibly my favorite novelist. James Baldwin is possibly my favorite nonfiction writer, and I feel like it's because they both have content that crosses into both of those lanes. Yeah. So again, are they little known authors? No. How often am I discussing either their work with someone? Not that often, not often enough. And I feel like that's something important to me. That being said, I'll shout out Celeste Dokes, who has a small collection of poetry with us, who's always just good, warm energy. So, I'm selling her book right now, but I'm selling like her energy too. Her vibe, her vibe is really chill. I love her. Like go pick up a Black classic writer, somebody that I know you've heard of, but you probably haven't read. Like that's like Go Tell It on the Mountain for James Baldwin. And then I'd say Home for Toni Morrison specifically. There you go for that. I would say.
Yeah, there you go. We got a voracious reader giving you suggestions. I suggest you listeners take advantage. So that's pretty much the end of the questions. So I like to offer up the opportunity for both of you to shamelessly. I mean, look, we've been plugging all day. We've been doing commercials. Thanks, Brandon. So whatever you want to plug, this has been great. It's been great to learn more about Charm City Books. So please plug away.
Yeah.
First off, visit our website, charmcitybooks.com. Follow us on all the socials. We're at Charm City Books on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And then on TikTok, we're Charm City Books Be More, because there was already a Charm City Books. But it's, I don't know.
Scandalous.
Charm City Books Be More on TikTok.
Be more. Yes, right. Also, tune into our weekly interview show that I host with a variety of authors in Baltimore, independent authors, local. I mean, we'll offline. It's a weekly interview show called Between Two Succulents. It's always fun. Simple enough questions about the book, but then also about the writer, because I'm interested in writers. And then I do want to shout out the Black Readers Con that's coming up next month, October 30th and 31st. I'll be a panelist on there, but there's also a number of other panelists, a number of other events that are going on throughout that time. Charm City Books, we just hosted a giveaway. And so, it's a separate project, but it's all about inspiring Black people to read and celebrate not just writers and who are Black, but the readers who are Black, because we do read across the gamut, and so that's really what it is about. It's called Black Readers Con for that reason. So just want to shout that out. Tickets are on sale. You can follow them on Instagram and everything, and you can find the link and whatnot for that. And we have some other events and stuff coming down the pipeline.
That's true.
That we are sorting, but they're coming, and we will definitely. And follow the Shop Dogs also. Shop Dogs on Duty.
That's right.
At Instagram.
They have their own Instagram. Yeah, and if you follow our store Instagram, you'll learn about events as they come up.
Yes.
And get to see cute pictures of dogs.
We also sell flowers first Friday of every month. So if you like a nice bouquet of flowers, who doesn't like fresh flowers, you can order those. So I just thought I'd shout that out because I like flowers. Yeah.
So there you have it, folks. Thank you, Daven. Thank you, Brandon. This has been delightful.
It truly has been a joy.
Rob. This is awesome.
Thank you, Rob.
You're welcome. I'm going to do my sign off, and then, So for Daven, for Brandon, I am Rob Lee, saying that there is art in and around Baltimore. Just got to look for it.